Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the life you've always wanted. The freedom to choose how you spend your time. The confidence to walk into any room. The respect you've worked years to earn. The success that makes people say, "I wish I had your life." Now let me ask you something. If that life had a price, would you still want it? Because everyone talks about the rewards. Almost nobody talks about the payment. We admire the victory, but ignore the cost. We celebrate the destination, but rarely ask what the journey demands.
That's why so many people chase success only to quit when they discover what it actually requires. Not because they lack talent, not because they lack potential, but because nobody warned them about the invoice. You don't pay for success with money. You pay with comfort. You pay with certainty. You pay with patience. You pay with the willingness to become someone your current self wouldn't even recognize. The world only sees the trophy. It never sees what was traded to earn it. So before you spend another day chasing the life you dream about, ask yourself one question. What is success really going to cost me? Because success is free until you receive the invoice. Today, I'm going to show you the price nobody warns you about. Your old identity must die. Most people think success begins the day they build better habits. It doesn't. Success begins the day they stop protecting the person they've always been. Because you can't build an extraordinary life on an ordinary identity. You can't keep thinking like the person who avoids discomfort, making the same decisions, accepting the same excuses, and expect a completely different future. The hardest part of success isn't waking up early. It isn't working longer hours. It isn't sacrificing weekends. The hardest part is letting go of the version of yourself that feels familiar. The version that chooses comfort over growth. The version that waits for motivation. The version that says, "I'll start tomorrow." Every level of success demands a different version of you. Not a better schedule, not a better notebook, a better identity. Because before your life changes, your decisions change. Before your decisions change, your identity changes. And until you're willing to leave your old self behind, your future will always look like your past. And that's only the beginning. Nobody watches the foundation. Every remarkable success has something in common. Most of it happened when nobody was watching. The applause comes later. The preparation comes first. We see the finished building, but we never see the months spent laying the foundation beneath the ground. Because foundations aren't designed to impress people. They're designed to carry the weight that comes later. The same is true for every meaningful achievement. The quiet mornings, the repeated failures, the countless hours of practice, the days when nothing seemed to impress. None of those moments become headlines. The world only notices the moment everything comes together. And that's why so many people underestimate success. They measure someone's visible results without ever seeing the invisible work that made those results possible. Remember this: if nobody notices what you're building today, it doesn't mean you're making no progress. It may simply mean you're still laying the foundation. Rule number 3: discipline loses its excitement. The beginning is always exciting. A new goal, a new plan, a new version of yourself waiting on the other side. For a while, everything feels different. You wake up with energy. You stay motivated. You believe this time will be different. But then, the excitement fades.
The routine becomes predictable. The work starts feeling ordinary. And that's the moment most dreams quietly disappear. Not because people stop wanting success, but because they stop enjoying the process that leads to it. Here's the truth. Success was never built on exciting days. It was built on ordinary ones. The days when nothing feels special. The days when no one is watching. The days when your mind whispers, "You've done enough for today." Discipline isn't proving you can show up when you're inspired. It's proving you can keep showing up after inspiration has left. Because the people who succeed aren't the ones who stay motivated. They're the ones who keep going long after motivation says goodbye. You become responsible. There comes a moment on every meaningful journey when excuses stop being useful. Not because life suddenly becomes fair, but because you realize your future can't be built by waiting for perfect circumstances. The moment you decide to take responsibility, everything changes. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" And you start asking, "What can I do next?" And that's a difficult shift. Because blaming something else feels lighter. It protects your pride. It gives you a reason to stay where you are. But responsibility does the opposite. It removes every place you can hide. It reminds you that while you can't control every event, you can always choose your next action. And that kind of freedom is heavier than any excuse. Because once you accept responsibility, waiting is no longer an option. The direction of your life is no longer someone else's decision. It's yours. Growth feels like regression. One of the strangest parts of becoming better is that for a while, you'll feel worse. You'll feel slower, more awkward, more You're not. You're simply becoming aware of everything you couldn't see before. Every new skill begins with discomfort. Every new challenge exposes your weaknesses. And for a moment, it can feel like you've lost confidence instead of gaining it. That's the illusion of growth. Because when you step outside your comfort zone, your old abilities no longer feel enough, and your new abilities haven't fully developed yet. You exist in the space between who you were and who you're becoming. It's uncomfortable. It's frustrating. But it's completely normal. Don't mistake temporary discomfort for permanent failure. Sometimes the feeling of falling behind is actually proof that you're finally moving forward. Progress is invisible. One of the biggest reasons people quit is because progress is almost impossible to see while it's happening. You show up today, nothing changes. You show up tomorrow, still nothing. A week passes, a month passes, and you begin to wonder, is any of this even making a difference? But real progress rarely announces itself. It happens quietly. One small decision, one repeated action, one ordinary day at a time. Then, almost without warning, the results begin to appear. People call it an overnight success. They say, "You changed so fast." What they never saw were the hundreds of ordinary days that made that moment possible. The truth is, your effort is often working long before you can see the evidence. So don't judge your progress by what happened today. Judge it by whether you showed up today. Because nothing seems to change until one day, everything does. Consistency is emotional control. People think consistency is about never missing a day. It isn't. Consistency is about refusing to let your emotions make your decisions. Every single day, your mind starts a conversation. You're tired. One day won't matter. Start again tomorrow. The hardest part isn't the workout. It isn't the work. It isn't the practice. It's winning that quiet argument inside your own head. Because your emotions change every day. Some mornings you'll feel unstoppable. Other mornings you'll question everything. If you only act when you feel motivated, your progress will always rise and fall with your mood. But the people who achieve extraordinary things understand something different. They don't let temporary feelings decide permanent goals. They let their commitment speak louder than their emotions. That's what consistency really is. Not the absence of difficult days, but the decision that those days won't decide your future. Higher standards change everything. Success doesn't begin when your life changes. It begins when your standards do. Because the moment you raise your standards, the life that once felt normal no longer feels acceptable. You stop settling for good enough. You stop celebrating excuses. You stop negotiating with the promises you made to yourself. Nothing around you may have changed, but something inside you has. Average becomes uncomfortable, not because you're trying to prove something to other people, but because you've seen what you're capable of. And once you've seen that, it's difficult to go back. Your standards quietly shape your decisions. Your decisions shape your habits, and your habits shape your future. That's why extraordinary lives don't begin with extraordinary opportunities. They begin with ordinary people who simply refuse to lower the standard they've set for themselves. People will misunderstand you. The moment you choose a different path, don't expect everyone to understand it. Some people will question your decisions. Some will think you're doing too much. Others will think you're chasing something unrealistic. Not because they know your future, but because they're looking at your choices through the lens of their own lives. People understand what feels familiar. Anything different often looks strange at first. If you spend your life trying to make everyone agree with your direction, you'll never travel very far. The truth is, every meaningful journey requires decisions that don't make sense to everyone else, and that's okay. Approval is comforting, but direction is far more valuable. You don't need every person to believe in your vision. You only need the courage to keep walking toward it, even when nobody else can see where it leads. Rewards arrive late. One of the most difficult truths about success is that the rewards rarely arrive when you expect them. The effort happens today. The improvement happens quietly over time. And recognition often arrives long after both. That's where most people give up. Not because the work is impossible, but because the silence makes them believe the work isn't working. We live in a world that expects immediate results.
But because the reward stayed invisible for longer than they expected, the hardest part of any journey isn't the work itself, it's the waiting. Waiting while you keep showing up. Waiting while nobody notices. Waiting while your effort feels unanswered. The delay makes you question everything. Your goal, your ability, even yourself. But sometimes, the delay isn't proof that you're failing. It's proof that the work isn't finished yet. Because the greatest rewards rarely arrive early. They arrive when you've become the person capable of carrying them.
Many people believe success is the finish line, that one day they'll arrive and life will finally become easy. But every new level comes with a new responsibility, more opportunity, more expectations, more difficult decisions. Success doesn't remove problems, it replaces them with different ones. The challenges never disappear. They simply evolve as you do. And that's the hidden truth. Growth never stops asking something from you. More patience, more discipline, more humility, more courage. The price keeps changing because you keep changing. So don't chase a life with no problems. Chase a life that gives you problems worth solving. Because success isn't a place where the cost disappears. It's a journey where you become stronger with every price you're willing to pay.
And that's the hidden truth. Growth never stops asking something from you. More patience, more discipline, more humility, more courage. The price keeps changing because you keep changing. So don't chase a life with no problems. Chase a life that gives you problems worth solving. Because success isn't a place where the cost disappears. It's a journey where you become stronger with every price you're willing to pay.